Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'm watching The Map That Saved the Most Lives by Mapman. Not sure what this could be. I have absolutely no guesses on what map could have saved the most lives. I don't even know what type of map it could be. So let's see what this is about.
This episode was written during the coronavirus lockdown.
And it's not an uncoincidence that it's about a map that stopped a deadly disease.
Welcome to Mapmen.
Okay,
We're
so
the men.
that's the
here's
type
the
of map it is.
Mapmen, Mapmen, Mapmen.
200 years ago, cholera was one of the most feared illnesses, or
Oh,
indeed
so it's
any
about
things in the
cholera.
world.
Nobody knew how it spread or where it came from, but they did know that if you got it, there was a 50% chance you would die, sometimes within just one day.
And a pretty unpleasant final day it would
50-50.
be, too. Within hours, cholera can cause teeth to protrude, eyes to sink, and blood to thicken and turn blue, giving cholera its nickname, the Blue Terror. I'm terrified.
This is because cholera causes the body to lose as much water as possible in the shortest possible time. As much as 20 litres in a day.
That's
Because
a
it spread
ton.
so quickly between people, scientists spent literally hours thinking about ways to fix cholera. To a man, they were all convinced it was passed around through bad air, which they called miasma to try and sound clever.
It wasn't until someone called
Isn't cholera passed through just feces? I mean, I think it was passed through just rivers being polluted because people pissed and shit in it. I don't know.
John Snow, not that John Snow, not that John Snow, this John Snow, did some thinking of his own that it wasn't until someone called John Snow, not that John Snow, not
This Jon Snow knows nothing. He would never figure out what caused cholera.
that John Snow, this John Snow did some thinking of his own.
Especially not the one from season 7 and 8.
The story starts in Old York.
Wait, sorry,
in the
those don't
Overlord.
exist.
John grew up in a poor part of the city where sewage flowed openly in the street and filth was a fact of life.
Oh look, an apple.
And that's where cholera comes from.
Snow was so grossed out by it, he became unusually health conscious and styled himself on a 21st century hipster. He didn't drink alcohol, was a vegetarian, and insisted on only drinking distilled water.
Snow escaped his life of squalor by being very good at maths and was offered a place at Newcastle to train as a physician.
He first witnessed the grim effects of cholera while treating patients in the nearby coal mining town of Killingworth.
He noticed that men who worked down the pit were dying of cholera at exactly the same rate as everyone else, even though they were nowhere near the foul air of the town. He began to suspect cholera had nothing to do with bad air, instead suspecting it might instead have something to do with the water.
See, all it takes is a little
But
bit of
because
common
Victorian
sense.
scientists really enjoyed using the word miasma, they all ignored his radical theory.
Snow would need hard proof to convince
Radical
the doubters,
theory.
and finally got the chance years later when he moved down to London. In 1854,
I mean, how are you going to prove that, though? Infect some people with the water that's contaminated? Give some people cholera on purpose? That's the only way you could really prove it, I think. I mean, depends what time period this is.
cholera struck Soho in the heart of London, and John Snow had just moved into a house in the heart of Soho, on Sackville Street, right by the Itsu. He was in the perfect place at the perfect time.
Yes! I mean, how awful. Snow went from door to door recording as much as he could about the cases that had occurred so far.
Cholera?
Good. Excitingly, he then plotted his data onto a map.
When Snow looked at the data he'd collected, he made an astonishing discovery. Almost all the recorded cases occurred near the Broad Street water pump. The further from the pump he went, the fewer deaths he recorded. A clear pattern had emerged.
What John Snow was doing was one of the earliest known examples of data journalism, which doesn't sound sexy and isn't sexy, but I still like it.
Still, in order to finally prove to all the miasmarists out there that it really was the pump, Snow needed a watertight case.
That's a good pun.
I know.
But there appeared to be some anomalies, such as an isolated case miles away to the north in Hampstead. How did the cholera get all the way up there?
He went to speak to the elderly victim, and it turned out her niece had been bringing her the water from Broad Street because, like many others, she thought the Broad Street water tasted sweeter.
And we'll try not to think about the fact that sweeter in this case was another way of saying contained sewage. Ugh. As well as cases far away from the pump, there was another type of anomaly that needed explaining. Non-cases really close to the pump, such as the workhouse on nearby Poland Street, which had bizarrely recorded hardly any deaths at all.
So Snow went to visit the workhouse and found they had their very own water well for water. What a surprise!
There were also no deaths at the local ale distillery. When Snow tried to interview people who worked there, nothing they said made any sense.
Which made sense because it turned out that instead of getting cholera, they'd been getting drunk. No water, no cholera.
Yeah, of course, they're not drinking water, they're just drinking alcohol. They're not going to get cholera from that, they're just going to get drunk.
Every apparent setback to Snow's water theory only ended up making his case even waterier and tighterier than ever before.
So he took his map to the local health commission, who were convinced enough to remove the handle from the Broad Street pump.
And a good job they did, because the cases immediately started drying up.
The other two were better.
Yeah, I know.
But how did that pump get infected in the first place? He found the answer with the help of a holy gossip monger.
Henry Whitehead, the local priest, knew everybody's business, including who had diarrhea when.
With a combination of Whitehead's nosiness and Snow's clever map making, they were able to trace the outbreak back to case 0, a baby living at number 40, whose mother had been washing nappies into the house's underground cesspit.
Not unsurprisingly, they found cracks between the cesspit and the well, finally confirming that everyone had been drinking number 40's number 2s. We have to take our hats off to this gruesome twosome for collecting so much data over what must have been months of work.
Actually, the whole endeavour from start to finish took just 3 days.
Wow! Shockingly, despite all the evidence they gathered, and with the outbreak cleared up as a result of their work, the mainstream miasmarists continue to ignore Jon Snow's findings, and the local council soon popped the handle back.
Of course, yeah, you know, because actually finding out the cause and proving that that's what's causing it doesn't mean anything. I mean, yeah, just don't use common sense with people who have a massive ego. It's never gonna work.
Back on the Broad Street pump as if nothing was ever wrong with it.
As always seems to happen when someone does something amazing, Jon Snow died before his work was accepted. Luckily today, medical experts are always taken seriously, and their advice is always listened to by people in charge who are never interested in personal political gain over rigorous, evidence-led, peer-reviewed
Yeah, I was gonna say,
facts.
Except sometimes it isn't, which is why every year to this day, the medical community holds the Pump Handle Lecture, during which a mock handle is so.
Makes me wonder what Trump is gonna do about that, considering all the other stuff he's already fucked up. But I'm not here to get political. I'm here to watch a video about a map for cholera.
Ceremonially removed and replaced in recognition of the struggle of getting people in charge to listen to doctors. Perhaps the most fun way Jon Snow is remembered today is in the form of this pub, the Jon Snow pub.
We're not sure how the famously teetotal Jon Snow would have felt about this, but either way, cheers to Jon Snow.
Cheers.
Tastes quite sweet.
It's not a good sign.
And I'm
Yeah, well, so Jon Snow found the cause of cholera. And of course it wasn't accepted until after his death. Yeah, it was quite common back in the day for people who proved something to not have their work accepted until a long time after their deaths. Some people were even murdered for the things they said, or other reasons. And later on it was accepted, but that's just life. But yeah, this guy saved a lot of people with this. And it only took him 3 days. But obviously people didn't accept it because common sense and logic? Nah, let's just stick to our beliefs that are not rooted in fact, not proven at all. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you're interested, why not watch this video right here? And with that, I hope I'll see you in the next video.